Morning, everybody. This is the morning meeting on two-way. Kevin Walling, Larry O'Connor here. Larry's still at CPAC. For those looking for a keen update, Larry's panel was delayed, so it will be today. Full live coverage, team coverage on two-way tonight, this evening, and then extended coverage, aftermath coverage on the morning meeting on Monday. Larry, how's CPAC going? Just a quick update.
I still have my voice. I was out too late. The bourbon tastes great, and and the conference seems to be going well too.
Any Star
Y'all
Wars?
it's in Dallas, right? Y'all are in Dallas, right?
We are
Dallas Metroplex. Any run-ins with the celebrities, MAGA celebrities?
MAGA celebrity. Well, I'm a MAGA celebrity.
I mean, you and someone else. Like, did you play quarters?
Actually, you know who was the superstar yesterday here? And kid you not, 23-year-old Nick Shirley, the independent journalist who went out and got
the fraud guy, right?
Minnesota
fraud guy.
I bet he was mobbed.
He was big deal.
Kevin, I don't think you've been here for me to ask you because I forget. Did I already ask you? Have you ever been to CPAC?
I've not been to CPAC. I'm still waiting on an invite. I know the schlaps well.
We're all going next year.
Ambassador Grinnell was asking for you, Kevin.
Yes.
I'm a big fan. It's going to get him and me in trouble, but I actually like Rick Grinnell quite a bit.
Anyway, welcome in, everybody. This is a morning meeting, a different kind of program than you see other places. We're about to have a very civil and sophisticated conversation about what's going on with a big focus on Iran. But not only, we're also going to talk about Jeffrey Epstein in 2026 and Al Gore in 2028, and amongst other things. Please raise your hand if you're here on the platform, would like to get in on the conversation with Kevin and Larry at the end of the program. We'd love to have you. If you've never raised your hand, today'd be a good day to do it. If you're watching on X or on two-way, on YouTube rather, no smack in the chat. Just put stuff in the chat that's friendly. Say like, I'm so sorry to see what happened to Bambi's mother, or Carol O'Connor left us early. Whatever. Just put nice things in there. No smack in the chat. Peace, love, and understanding for all. And do a quick sponsor and then get to your the day book and then to your questions before too long. Cozy Earth, 20% off everything on the site. Promo code MORNING. Comfort carries you from the morning throughout the day, whether it's the bubble cuddle blanket, the bedding, the bedding. I'm forgetting what it's called. The comforter, the essential socks, Luxe bath towels. All of it available to you right now with an extraordinary 20% off discount using the promo code available to you, MORNING. And try it today. Try something. Indulge in luxury. This is affordable stuff that's extremely luxurious. It's soft and elevated. It will experience the craft behind the comfort and make every day feel intentional. Again, go to cozyearth.com. Use the promo code MORNING for 20% off. If you get the post-purchase survey, don't click the little X and get rid of it. Fill it out and say, the only reason I'm doing this is because the good folks at Two-Way in the morning meeting asked me to. Otherwise, I'd spend my money on something else. Again, go to cozyearth.com, promo code MORNING for 20% off everything on the site. All right, the president is headed to Florida eventually today, but before then, he participates in executive time. Again, how many days in a row do I have to tell you? 8 a.m. executive time means he's watching the show.
Then Mr. President.
12:30, hello, Mr. President. 12:30, a closed press event with farmers. That's not going to stay closed press. I just find that hard to believe. But he said yesterday there'd be like 1,000 farmers on the lawn.
Will they be in overalls, do you think? Whenever they have doctors, they're always wearing the white coat, right?
I think they'll be wearing bib overalls, and many of them will come through the Northwest Gate in a tractor in a John Deere.
Oh, I want to see that.
like a motorcade of John Deere's. Yeah. Anyway, then the president flies to Miami, Miami Beach, where he's speaking at this conference. You guys ever been at the Faena Hotel? You ever been at that hotel in Miami Beach? It's luxe. It's a luxe hotel. I stayed there once. Anyway, he's speaking to this.
Larry and I are Red Roof Inn guys. We're men of the people. All this. You're in a French park. Come on.
I didn't pay for my room. I didn't pay for my room there. Just to be clear.
I'm in my double wide in Charleston right now.
This is an investment conference that he's speaking at 5:30. Jared spoke there too. It's a favor for somebody. I can't get into it, but in any event, he'll speak tonight at 5:30, right during Two-Way tonight. So we'll see how he screws up that. And then he goes to Mar-a-Lago, where he spends the weekend. Just to run through his weekend, because of course it's germane, because at any given time he could eviscerate all of Iran. Saturday, more executive time at 8 a.m. Now that runs against my thesis because we don't have a show tomorrow, but he's got executive time. And then 6:30, a MAGA Inc. meeting, and then a dinner at 7. And the pool's going to be allowed to cover that. It's rare that the pools lately is allowed to cover events at Mar-a-Lago, so that's kind of interesting. And then on Sunday, the president is still at Mar-a-Lago and has executive time in the morning, and then flies back at some point to Washington. The vice president today is having the first meeting of his task force to eliminate fraud, joined by FTC chair Andrew Ferguson, and Stephen Miller will be there as well, some members of the cabinet, so that'll be an interesting event. Marco Rubio is here in Paris, really on the outskirts of Paris, at Cernay-la-Vie, where he's meeting with his G7 colleagues. We've seen a lot of, as they say in the Diplo media world, comings and goings. We've seen him walk past cameras and smile and wave. We can show that while I say it, but no sound from the Secretary of State as of yet. So don't know what's going on in those meetings, but one of the many topics they're discussing, besides Ukraine, is Iran. The Senate is left after last night at 3 a.m. Eastern. Here's Rubio. See him there, coming, smiling, shaking hands, hugging.
Got a little hug there.
Yeah.
That suit tie combo is very familiar looking, isn't it?
It is a dark suit, long red tie. And look at that little G7 rectangular cardboard thing. That's edgy. Wearing the
French
Florsheim
foreign
shoes.
Minister, do you think? French foreign
I bet
it must
it
be
is.
the host, probably.
It also could be the French National Security Advisor, because he wears so many hats.
Or
anyway, you see them walking past the flags of the various allied nations.
But I do wonder with the photo op if the G7 members traded out some that are taller participants, because Rubio's up there with the height situation. Usually he's got folks towering over him. Yeah, well, they're all about the same height. I don't know if they're playing the B team just to make sure the photo look okay.
We just saw a guy who looked like maybe the German foreign minister towering him, but you're right. It's not like a very tall group. In fact, Rubio's not.
Look at them right there.
He's not the shortest. There's like 4 people shorter.
Could be a DeSantis situation here in the shoes. Just saying.
Could be the Florsheim with the lifts. Anyway, the Senate passed this compromise, which we're going to talk about. It came out of nowhere, as far as I was concerned. The Democrats kind of caved. The Republicans kind of caved. This was a deal that could have been made weeks ago, but the combination of the recess and the long lines caused them to do it. The House is in, and at some point today probably will pass this compromise. We'll talk about that again in just a moment. CPAC again, day 3 in Grapevine, Texas. And that's it. Let's talk about the war.
Today's the day of the Bannon speech, by the way.
What time?
There will be a lot of eyes on that. I believe it's early afternoon.
It's Bannon, and Paxton also speaks tonight.
Paxton is this evening. Yeah.
There's a long story.
And Cornyn's a no-show, right? He's not.
Cornyn's a no-show. There's a long story in some news organization today saying, maybe it's Politico, I think it's in the playbook, that some people now Trump's not going to endorse. We've talked about this ad nauseum. But Larry, is that Cornyn race, given you're in Texas, is that the talk of CPAC or not really?
A little bit, but it's any talk is all Paxton. It's this is Paxton country. If Cornyn showed, he would have been booed. Yeah.
All right. Here's a couple of the big headlines related to Iran before we set the table for where we think everything stands. 109. Wall Street Journal reports that the Pentagon is thinking is working on maybe sending even more. Pentagon way sending 10,000 more ground troops to the Middle East. I don't like the word troops because that's not always accurate. But in any event, give President Trump more military options, even as he weighs peace talks with Tehran. DOD officials with knowledge of the planning said they're calling it the Department of Defense. Are they going to get kicked out of the White House pool for calling it that?
Certainly from the Pentagon, which I believe has already happened.
Yeah.
Can I just jump on this? This is in the similar way that you noted yesterday that Brit Hume and Byron York sort of undercut one of the Wall Street Journals, and I agree, Wall Street Journal's doing a great job. But is it a surprise that what does that mean? Pentagon is looking at? I have no doubt that they have plans for any contingency.
They've got contingency plans.
Totally. I bet they have
plans to invade. We have plans to invade Canada. Still, we've got contingency plans to invade Canada.
So I don't know what
totally agree, Larry. I totally agree with you. Except, I think in this case it's possible they're leaning into being told that those 10,000 might go.
But that's not what this says. But
I agree with you. You're absolutely correct. Okay, we rarely hear from Jared Kushner, but he's one of the people, along with Mr. Stephen Witkoff and the vice president, who might be involved in negotiations. Here's Jared at that Miami conference yesterday talking about the prospect of the conversations and why he's involved.
But President Trump's focus is to try and get to a good outcome with them. He wants to just be in a position where they act like a normal country, and they have so much economic potential for their population, their country, that I think he would love to see them, focusing their efforts on helping their citizens achieve a great economy, instead of focusing on how they can cause provocations and trouble in the regions through their proxies or through their missiles or through their threats, or from trying to become a nuclear power in that regard. And so the answer to your question was that my thought was that I was coming back to my business. I was getting ready. We've been very successful. We're going to raise our next fund. But then I've been asked by the president and Steve to stay on, my volunteer capacity with more intensity. And so we've suspended that effort with our fund. And so the fund's doing great.
Okay, so there could be peace talks as soon as this weekend with the vice president and maybe Steve and Jared, or not. There continues to be a build-up. We'll see what the markets do. Where are we at? Where are we, by the way, at this moment? Asking my colleagues, where are we on the Dow and oil? Where are we right now?
Dow
anyway,
futures are down 232, and Brent crude is at 110.
Okay, so we'll see what the numbers do today, but that's not great. So on the one hand, talk of peace. On the one hand, needing to address the markets. On the other hand, the military builds up continues. So Kevin, where are you now on the trajectory, length, direction of this whole thing?
Yeah, I mean, Mark, you had that great conversation with Britt Hume yesterday, where there's been so much reporting about what the president is telegraphing and saying that days, weeks, not months, and I think that's where we're at. I think you saw the 10-day extension that the president highlighted in the cabinet meeting yesterday. There's a lot of reporting out this morning about J.D. Vance being the point person when these kind of conversations. I think we're still at the messaging exchanging part of the conversation. Obviously, there isn't any kind of direct talks. But certainly, I think the administration is gearing up for what those direct talks will look like. Witkoff recommending that the vice president lead those efforts. He's had a lot of calls with Bibi already to figure out alignment where we are with the Israelis and where we're not. And I think that's going to be happening and continue to happen. And I think we're going to see some level of resolution, hopefully in the next couple of weeks.
Either of you, well, Larry, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I think Kevin's right. Although I will look at what and the mood here at CPAC, if you'd like to know, since mid-April is what I keep hearing from people. They're on board. They think it's good. Support the president, finish the job. But if it goes past mid-April, they're getting a little nervous. But look for a voice to start emerging now from Republicans and conservatives, warning the president not to get out too soon, not to leave some things and some threads loose. Because there have been a lot of people who've been supportive of the president and they haven't said much. They've just let the conversations go on. But there's actually a good chunk of people who are worried that he may prematurely end this for political purposes because he's starting to get too many voices telling him it's got to end. I'm just saying that, like Eric Erickson type Republicans. I guess.
He's certainly going to hear that when he's talking to the Saudi investment down in Miami, because the Saudis are very much UAE. Others are saying stay the course and not just pull out prematurely. So he's going to get an earful on that front, to Larry's point, at least tonight in Miami.
We're always forward-looking here, but I'm just going to look back to the cabinet meeting yesterday. I thought the most undercovered thing was one of the questions the president got was, do you want a piece of the Iranian oil? And he basically said yes. Now, we know he does, but the fact that he said it yesterday, because that's not on the list of the 15 demands. Do you guys know the word VIG? Do you know what the word VIG is short for?
A little VIG. It's Italian for percentage, isn't it?
It's a fee or a commission, what it means. But it's actually a diminutive of the word vigorish. Vigorish, there it is in the chat, vigorish. Anyway, the president wants a VIG. The president definitively wants to wipe out their capacity for nuclear, terror, naval, air, missile. He wants to, if he can, bring about regime change, but at least get a Venezuela-style government he can deal with. And he wants his VIG. He wants a percentage of the gas and of the oil, and the Israelis are fine with all that. I think if they don't surrender in a conference room with Jared Kushner, then the president will destroy them. And people who say He's edgy, he's nudgy, he's hearing from so many people who say you got to stop. He's obsessed with the markets. I just don't believe that's correct based on my reporting. He's at peace with this thing. He's not blind to the negativity, but he's at peace with it, and he wants to walk away with the things that he started out seeking. And there's a great story I recommend to all of you, a great Substack rather, by someone I had not heard of. Put up number 113, Mehdi Parpanchi.
Yeah.
Standard spelling of both Mehdi and Parpanchi. He's an Iranian journalist, I guess. I recommend you all go read the Substack.
It's a great read.
You don't have to agree with it, but if you want to understand why the president did this and why the president believes he's on track to succeed, and you should want to understand that, even if you're if you're Adam Schiff, you're dead set against the war, you want to read this. The title is The Coercive Sequence, How Trump's Iran War Actually Works, Why Negotiation and War Are Part of the Same Strategy and What Critics Fail to See. And he says the media's got this all wrong. And he says, look, this is a risk. He's not saying it's going to work, but don't confuse the fact that it may not work with whether Trump has a strategy, because he lays out what Trump's strategy was from the start and why what's happened is consistent with that. So we talk about how long it's going to last. Larry said CPAC, 2.5 more weeks. I think it could go 4 more weeks, but I think if it got to 2.5 weeks and the president needed more time, he'd find a way to do it. Kevin, the one thing I would criticize about that gentleman's Substack is he didn't address the Strait of Hormuz head on. And I'm wondering, there's lots going on there, and the president's thing about the gifts yesterday. How much of the focus do you think of what they're doing militarily is about the Strait right now?
I mean, it certainly is, and obviously the president is attuned to the markets. There's a tease out that there's another strait closer to Yemen that also controls some oil flow.
Go ahead and put that up. Sorry to interrupt. Keep talking. This is 114.
Yeah.
Kevin, keep going.
That they've highlighted that as a choke point too with the Iranians as well as the Strait of Hormuz. And again, this is the only leverage right now that the Iranians have. I saw this morning there's thousands of ships waiting. And obviously the president, part of what I'm watching this weekend that I'll preview is what happens to those 10 or 12 tankers that the president highlighted yesterday in that cabinet meeting. I will also say what I love about the two-way community is the chat firing up whenever you ask a question about what the definition of a word is, number one. And number two, speaking of that, the something that's foremost in the president's mind, going back to the invasion with Iraq, is Iraq oil, right? So that's always been a focus of Trump going back 20 years ago, saying we should have gotten that. And that's certainly, I think, going to be at play in this current incursion/war.
Yep.
Larry, where are you currently in terms of concern about the Strait not being open? Is it seem headed to being open to you, or not the big focus? Because like 2 weeks ago, Newt Gingrich and others were saying like, this is it. They got to get this open. And now doesn't seem to be front and center.
So in the last 10 days, I've had more conversations with sort of military people either in it right now or recently in it. And I feel more comfortable that what's happening in the Strait was anticipated and planned for, and it's part of the methodical process here. They could be spinning me, but I feel a little bit more comfortable about it. That said, Mark, I agree that Substack that you shared just now doesn't directly address the Strait, but the pattern of behavior going all the way back to the bombing of the nuclear sites in June of last year fits into the pattern where the Strait, you escalate, you force a new circumstance and push the coercion, then you stop and you reset and you try to get something done. And if it doesn't get done, then you bring it to the next level. So it's not directly addressing the Strait right now, but making that now a new sticking point and part of this thing. It fits into that overall pattern, and it does sort of make sense of how Trump is approaching this. If he doesn't see leverage in a situation, he creates a new scenario where he has leverage now.
Right.
So now how that fits into the Strait is a different question.
Let's talk about the concept of the next level. In Venezuela, the U.S. military used a weapon that, as best I can tell, had never been used before, and hasn't really been explained too thoroughly, at least not in the popular media, that made all of Maduro's guards like vomit. It was some sort of high-tech weapon, microwave gun, I saw in the chat. I don't think the U.S. is going to use nuclear weapons, but Trump now, at least twice, President Trump has referred to the notion of if the Iranians don't do what he wants, he's going to take it to 11. There's going to be some maximum force thing that extends beyond what's been used. The discombobulator, another thing in the chat. I know neither of you are who's the agent in James Bond, Q, who has all the high tech stuff.
Yeah,
I know neither of you are Q, and neither of you are.
Don't link me with Q, Mark. For God's sake, I'm trying to shape that image.
Okay, neither of you are experts on secret military programs, but does it seem to you, as it does to me, that the president has something in mind that maybe we've never seen used by any government, any military in the history of warfare to hit the Iranians with if they don't come to the table and surrender? Is that that's my gut based on what he said?
Well, first of all, it's typical Trump that he always says everything's on the table, number one. But number two, in keeping with something I've been saying this day, I keep hearing that part of what's happening here, the subtext is to demonstrate to China and others what we're capable of. And so that would fit.
Yeah. Kevin, do you think there's some secret weapon that's going to just like eviscerate Tehran?
Well, I go back to the raid to take out Osama bin Laden when we found out and it got teased out that we had these stealth helicopters, right? That folks did not know about beforehand.
Good example.
So there's always the case when we do this, and I think Larry makes an excellent point. A lot of this is also telegraphing to Xi Jinping and the CCP with their eyes still on Taiwan about our capabilities. I think that's, there's a geopolitical element to this too. That's why, I hope we obviously continue to stay strong in Ukraine too, because that's also telegraphing things beyond just the borders of Europe, but also when it comes to China.
Don't take this as a negative question. It's just a search for the truth. I'm a perfectly big fan of Marco Rubio. Again, got nothing against the guy. He gave, I thought, a great speech at the European meeting, at the Munich conference. But he's getting the best press clips of anybody in recent memory. What's he done? What is it? He's good. He's a good talker. He gave a great speech. He's done okay at some press conferences. But why is everybody acting like he's James Baker and Thomas Jefferson? And again, I'm not saying he's not. Maybe he is.
No,
what are people keying off of? What Kevin? What's he done? Has he done some great negotiation, or has he proposed some doctrine? I just don't see what he's done except give some good speeches.
And again, you not to beat a dead horse, but everyone should go watch that interview that you did with Brett Hume yesterday. The biggest thing for Marco is he's not JD Vance, right? And the press loved JD Vance back in the day, Hillbilly Elegy and stuff like that. And I think they want to make him potentially the mainstream press, the enemy in terms of what's going to look like for 2028. So they're propping up Marco Rubio as a media darling. And again, he did give a compelling speech in Munich, but I think he has also been very deliberate in terms of, obviously going from little hands Marco on the debate stage to now this MAGA kind of darling right hand of Donald Trump. And again, I think more of the fact that he's not JD is what's driving a lot of this media coverage that he's now this darling.
I say with respect and affection for you and those putting stuff in the chat, he's normal. He's a good communicator. He's not Vance, but I don't see how that adds up, Larry, to this beautification of the guy as like the greatest of all time. And of course he should be the nominee, and of course he should be president. Again, I just say he talks pretty, but what's he done?
Yeah, well, so first of all, I don't think, at least from my perspective, he's not celebrated right now in any celebrating him is not meant to be any slight or criticism of Vice President Vance. I mean, don't make me choose. I like them both.
Well, but I think Kevin's again, I'm not interrupting you. We're having a conversation. I think Kevin's right that it is part of why people are celebrating him, because
maybe
they say,
from the media and for Democrats, because
a lot of donors, including Jewish donors, are saying we don't like Vance's failure to distance from Tucker. Although of course Marco hasn't been asked to distance himself from Tucker. I don't know what he would actually say. But Larry, I know you don't want to choose.
I'll tell you. Well, I'll tell you. First of all, I think number one, he enjoys he enjoys the benefit of low expectations from the MAGA crowd. I'll be honest with you. A lot of us were not. We were a little skeptical of Marco Rubio and what kind of Secretary of State he would be. He has grown quite a bit from Little Marco 2016. The last year as a surrogate for the Trump campaign on Meet the Press, etc., he was fantastic. But when he got Secretary of State, a lot of people, he's kind of a Nikki Haley type. Is he going to really grow into it? Secretary of State, when you said he hasn't done anything, Secretary of State is there to implement the president's foreign policy and national security policies, in Marco's case, because he's national security advisor as well. He has done that in such a way that he can articulate, communicate, and make accessible Trump's positions and policies, where sometimes from Trump they seem a little scattered and they seem a little bit, mercurial. Rubio is able to articulate and communicate it and speak Washingtonese, since he's been here for so long, in a very effective way that makes people feel comfortable and secure. And I think that's what his superpower has been.
And I would say his performances before, House Foreign Affairs and Senate Foreign Relations have been masterclasses in terms of his ability to translate, to Larry's point, that element of policy. And I think too, I don't think we would have likely done the Venezuela activity if it wasn't for Secretary of State Rubio. And I don't think whatever's going to happen in Cuba would not happen without a Secretary of State Rubio driving that train. So to Mark, to your question in terms of what has he done, I think he's shaped a lot of those two big issues. One that's happening in real time and one that's about to happen, I think, also in real time.
And for a lot of the MAGA types who initially liked Vance and loved Vance so much more than Rubio, was because Vance fought back. Vance would fight the media. Vance would push back. I take it back to that Rubio interview on Face the Nation with Maggie Haberman, when Maggie Haberman was talking about free speech, I think. It had something to do with Vance. In fact, it was a reaction to Vance's speech in Europe. And she said something about free speech and the Holocaust. I can't remember the details. And Rubio absolutely hammered her. It was a viral moment. And suddenly we're like, oh, Rubio's got fight in him. Rubio's not soft. Rubio can do it. And he does it with a softer touch. And I think that that's what he's benefiting from.
I remain baffled despite your extraordinary efforts.
Well, maybe you should shave.
Maybe I should. A couple things.
No smack in the conversation. Blair, don't make it personal. I like this scruff.
A few more.
Just because we're joined with this scruff element here, the two of us, and you're clean shaven. Don't make it personal.
I don't read the chat. I glance at it. A couple things quick. We're gonna a few more topics, and we're gonna get to your questions. Please raise your hand if you want to get in on the conversation. Shouldn't the markets go up today? The president gave a 10-day reprieve and pretends they're going to be talks. Shouldn't the markets go up today?
Yes, and the oil news yesterday from Bergam, I would think they would.
Shouldn't they go up? All right, we'll see if they do. Full coverage.
Yeah, I also think, and we talked about this before, he can only do this a few times, right? In terms of teasing things out. And you make that argument that he can still do it. I don't know. All right, humor. Words and actions.
I don't know if you guys watched the full cabinet meeting yesterday, but I described it as 1/3 Regis, 1/3 Don Rickles, 1/3 Spalding Gray. I mean, the president did this extended riff on the Sharpie. And he claimed he used to have $1,000 pens, and now he's using Sharpies, and talked about, the company wanted to give him free ones and add the presidential seal, blah, blah, blah. And we talk all the time about how Trump gets away with stuff that other people can't. He's doing a fundraiser tomorrow night during a war at his luxury resort. Just go back to the comedy. Do you guys agree Trump's hilarious?
Oh, God, yes.
Yeah, okay. So can other people joke like that and get away with it, or is this another weird thing that Trump can do that other people can't do? Because, joking around at a cabinet meeting, this extended riff on the Sharpie, can other people do that? If someone else were president right now, could they do a 10-minute jokey monologue on the Sharpie? Yes or no?
Probably not. I don't know if that's a skill set that needs to be repeated in future presidents. But
okay.
The better question is, what president until now would have been able to do it?
None. This guy just plays by his own rules. But if you haven't watched the Sharpie monologue, I recommend it.
My favorite moment was when Bergam told him that Venezuela was going to erect a statue to him, and then Bergam goes on to talk about oil imports, and Trump says, blah, 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 blah. What's that about the statue?
Yes. Kevin, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, not just the cabinet meeting. And, I have a hard time with a lot of this stuff in terms of being the Democrat, and just because of his ability to throw things out there. But when he called into the Five, too, and talking about the gay Ayatollah, and that, he plays YMCA as I'm from New York. It's a gay. You played it last night with Brett, but
yeah, that was also epic. That was also epic.
He's something. He's something.
He's something. All right. DHS funding. We said for days. I said for days that never can be a deal. Did the Democrats cave? Did the Republicans cave? Did they both cave? Kevin, what happened there? That there suddenly was a deal?
They both caved. This is something the Democrats put forward 3 weeks ago. We could have saved a lot of this pain. We didn't get any of the policy changes that we wanted. I think the biggest motivating factor, and we also see it usually around the holidays, right, is recess, right? When these members are staring down 2 weeks away from Washington, which they're leaving town now, that is the driving factor for a lot of this stuff. And again, no one, Schumer's already out there claiming credit. That's fine. Again, this is something we put forward. It's a clean extension, but we didn't get any of the policy changes that we wanted to. We'll see what Mark William Mullen does now, heading up DHS, but nothing written into law right now. And we'll fight another day about this.
Larry, why isn't the Democratic base more angry that Democrats made a deal without any policy changes? I thought this was something they'd offered up, but
you'll
they have no leverage.
That question. That's
what
I
have no leverage now. They have no leverage now.
I agree. Mark, Tuesday you asked this panel, it wasn't this exact panel, but you asked, when does this end and how does it end? And I said, I think it ends by the end of the week. And I think the way it ends is that we carve out what was already proposed, is that they carve out ICE. And I remember the response was, well, the Democrats just rejected that. They're going to keep pushing this until they get the win. Well, they didn't. They did cave. And they caved because Trump announced yesterday that he was going to do an executive order that would move money in DHS to pay the TSA agents. As soon as Democrats were facing the recess and realizing that they couldn't create painful scenarios for the TSA agents and for American airline travelers, they said, what the hell, let's just move on. They didn't get the two big things they wanted.
As I said at the outset of this, budget fights trying to change policy never work. When Republicans do it on the border, when we do it here, it never works. But it will work for them because they're going to raise money on it. And as Mark just said, the base will not be pissed off because they're happy that they fought, even if they didn't get what they wanted. They will. They'll be fine. Part of it is trying to push back the element of fighting.
Make sure on the morning meeting tote board we note that Larry got that right, because he did.
I didn't mean to,
No, I want to. All right. Epstein. Curious about whether Epstein's going to play in the 2026 midterms. It turns out that there's a prominent candidate who's in the Epstein files on the ballot in November, at least if he wins the primary. John Sununu is running for Senate. He's got a primary against Scott Brown. And I don't know, there's a mailer showing up in Republican New Hampshire mailboxes. Do we know this paid for by it's paid for by Strongest Granite PAC, and that's the PAC supporting Scott Brown, right?
Yeah.
So they're doing this mailer, and basically there's a reference to John Sununu. The primary's in September, right? September. There's a reference to September 8th. There's a reference to Sununu in the Epstein files. It's unclear what it means. And here's how they frame it in the mailer with this picture. I'll go back to the previous one. A picture of Sununu with Jeffrey Epstein, juxtaposed. John Sununu has spent his career connected to all the wrong people, voting for all the wrong interests. New Hampshire deserves better. Next. His name appears in the Epstein files. And here's an email to Jeffrey Epstein, maybe? From Jeffrey Epstein.
From Jeffrey Epstein.
Says, you are the most interesting person there. They should be calling me and asking me how to meet you. John Sununu has good stories. And there's no indication in the files what that refers to.
Right.
So here's what you guys know, one of the best members of our community. Quoting him here. The New Hampshire Journal wrote this up today, and they quoted our friend Matthew Bartlett saying that this mailer is desperate and crazy.
Yes.
Crazy is one thing, desperate is another. But when you have both in politics, it shows you're losing. And Sununu's heavily favored with the primary, in part because he's got the President Trump's endorsement in the Republican primary. So my first question is, will his ties, I say that in air quotes, to Jeffrey Epstein hurt John Sununu either in the primary or if he's the nominee in the general? No. Kevin?
No, but it's great that we're talking about this and not the main Democratic primary, which we did yesterday, and what a terrible situation that is. Again, all these attacks are not going to be helpful, likely for Graham Plattner, who's going to be the nominee in Maine, right? That he's facing Janet Mills, all this stuff. And Sununu, it's not going to be helpful to Sununu come the general election against Chris Pappas when it turns nasty like this. And obviously, it's a bit of desperation two former senators trying to get back into the upper chamber, and not pulling any punches to do it.
Can I just go back quickly though, and Mark, completely understandable. You led this by saying apparently John Sununu was in the Epstein files, which is accurate. It's true. But look at how he's when people hear that Sununu's in the Epstein files, some people will say, oh, so he was having sex with underage children. That's what's so insidious about this garbage. And you know, he's in the Epstein files less than Whoopi Goldberg is in the Epstein files.
Right.
And yet here we are. That's why I'm so disappointing for Scott Brown to do this.
And again, you know, Epstein had photos with Pope John Paul II, right, on his credenza. So, you know, to Larry's point, you know, there's gradients to all of this, and it's
go negative on the Pope. But do you guys think in general, just closing this up, do you think in general we'll see people making tenuous connections between their opponents and Epstein?
Yeah, when they're polling under undecided. Scott Brown is right now polling below undecided. And when you're that desperate and there's money, yes, they'll do garbage like this.
All right.
What's next? What's next from Scott Brown? Does he do another centerfold photo spread? That's, you know.
All right, Kevin.
That might be the question.
All right. Our last topic before we do winners and losers involve a potential candidate in 2028, ladies and gentlemen. This is Tim Miller with the gentleman from Carthage and St. Albans, Al Gore. 120, 130, please.
More of a comment than a question. I'm sure you know this. You're 77 years old. Spring chicken. 2 years younger than Trump. Younger than Biden. Maybe one more walk around the block. Well, you know, New Hampshire's nice this time of year. I don't know. South Carolina, Charleston.
I do sense a kind of a groundswell of a real desire for another septuagenarian.
People are saying Gore.
Candidate.
You can hear it in the cornfields of Iowa.
You know, it's worked. We've had these septuagenarians for long enough. We're kind of used to it. I think there's a lane there. I
do too.
And I appreciate you suggesting it. I'll give serious reflective thought to what you said, Tim.
All right, you think about that.
I need to be clear that Al Gore was kidding there, and at the same time, yesterday we talked about Hillary Clinton maybe being a candidate. Now we're talking about Al Gore maybe being a candidate.
That's scary.
Kevin, what does this mean for your party and a search for a nominee who's not on Social Security, in a lockbox?
It means we've got a lot of great. The bench is far and wide and stretches back to the 90s, stretches into the future. We've got a lot of compelling candidates out there. I just love that Tim talked about how great Charleston is, though, during the primary season.
Larry, he did win the popular vote.
I've heard that. Yeah. Mark, that is scary good.
On two martinis, it's better. And I auditioned once to play the voice of Al Gore in an HBO movie, and I didn't get the part. Although there's a reason why.
Everything is better with two martinis. Do you remember who played Gore on Saturday Night Live during that campaign? For the life of me, I can't.
Maybe John Lovitz?
No.
Who was Gore?
Dana Carvey was Bush. No, wait. Who was
Darrell Hammond? Darrell Hammond played everybody. Darrell Hammond played everybody. He played Clinton. He played Gore.
Lockbox.
If Gore had been given the presidency, which he should have, because more people went to the polls in Florida intending to vote for Al Gore than for George Bush, it would have changed my career, because back then my Gore slipped a little bit, but I can do it as well as just about anything I do. And whether it's St. Albans A&M, a small agricultural school in Northwest Washington, or Harvard University Law School, I know what I'm doing when I do my Al Gore.
That's
all right. You don't get this on any other morning program. I'm just saying that.
By the way, since you mentioned the Brit Hume also went to St. Albans. Were they classmates though? I never got that straight.
No, Britson is 80. Britson is 80. No, Britson is 80.
No. I think they're both 78.
They may have been classmates.
Somebody put it in the chat. I think they're about the same age. I think I don't think they were classmates. I want to hear
Brit Hume's Al Gore stories from St. Albans.
Brit's 82. Well, yeah. So he's 77. Brit's 82. So
Brit's 82. Man, Brit's in good shape.
Yeah, I told you. I was amazed with that.
They would have been classmates, but they would have been there at the same time.
All right, winners and losers of the week. What to look for then to your questions, please raise your hand. Larry, winner of the week.
Winner of the week. I don't know if you saw this, but it was announced this morning that 13-term Congressman Sam Graves from the 6th District of Missouri is stepping down and retiring. My best friend and best man at my wedding, radio talk show host Chris DeGaulle, announced this morning that he is going to hang up the microphone and he is running for that seat. He is a fifth-generation 6th District Missourian, and I believe he has Congressman Graves' backing. He met the speaker this week. And my friend Chris is coming to Washington as a congressman. I'm just worried this is going to start a trend of talk show hosts being recruited to run for office.
Has Chris ever run for anything before?
He has never run for office.
Is he getting Trump's endorsement?
That remains to be seen, but it looks like the party, Congressman Graves and many other Republicans in Missouri are announcing today they'll back.
I don't know who the Democrat is running in that race, but I will say that man has a great beard. So
Chris is one.
Oh, Larry, that's awesome. Kevin, who's your winner of the week, Kevin?
My winner of the week is the Ukrainians, right? Reporting out that their missile technology, their ability to target Russian energy exporting is incredible. They've taken out 40% thus far of their exporting capabilities inside Russia. Zelensky was with MBS negotiating with the Saudis deals to take on the drones. They're helping us all over the Middle East, 200 Ukrainians on the ground trying to stop these drones attacking American personnel and assets. So the Ukrainians are still in the fight. We're still with them, and they're doing incredible stuff.
My winner of the week's BB because he keeps it going with no public tension, even though there's private tension. No public tension. The Israelis continue to decimate Iran's capabilities. Even if the war ended today, Bibi would have achieved a ton of what his goal was, and the war ain't ended today. Larry, loser of the week.
That's very smart. Loser of the week is Wes Moore. Yesterday was the 2-year anniversary of the collision that took down the Francis Scott Key Bridge. He was seen as a man of action there the next day, saying that he was going to spearhead the effort to rebuild that bridge. Nothing has been rebuilt as of today, 2 years later. They're still removing parts of the old bridge. It's now projected to be built by 2030. If he's really going to be a viable running mate to Gavin Newsom, they'll just show that bullet train project of Gavin and the unbuilt bridge of Wes Moore and show you the incompetence of blue state governors.
Kevin, loser of the week.
My loser of the week are the 100 members of the United States Senate for taking 41 days to reach some kind of situation here with the DHS and TSA and the Coast Guard, a deal that was out there 3 weeks ago. And a lot of people felt a lot of pain over these last couple of weeks, not just travelers, but obviously these TSA agents that showed up not getting paid and keeping us safe. So the failure of this upper chamber to actually do anything about it are my losers of the week.
All right. Now, usually we think of loser of the week as someone who's performed poorly, but sometimes it's people who have been, in a bad place. American travelers. It's ridiculous that people had to kill 4 or 5 hours in line, miss their flights, make their flights, but wait 5 hours in line when they solved it with nothing. There was nothing. They could have done this weeks ago. And it's a failure of governance, but the American people should demand better. They should expect better. They should get better on something so basic as being able to do air travel. Larry,
did Bill Barr ever make his flight? I wondered the photos of him in Houston.
Good question. He certainly was widely shared.
If the former AG is in the chat, just let us know if you made your flight.
All right, good question. Larry.
I will just note I stayed away from the TSA and DHS story. You both picked it, but neither of you actually targeted who was really responsible, which was the Democrat senators. But I'll just leave it alone. Got
to get in that dig.
Instead of watching March Madness because you yelled at us for sports, I'm watching the straw poll at CPAC to sort of follow up on a conversation we had earlier. It will be shocking, but I think Marco Rubio has a real chance of winning the straw poll tomorrow as the pick for 2028.
That would be wild.
Would be a remarkable political story, and will even up more of this sort of conversation that continues in the Republican Party about 28 and Vance and Rubio. But I think Marco's going to win it.
Kevin?
I'm watching the fate of these 10 or 12 tankers, depending on who you ask, that the president talked about in that cabinet meeting that was the surprise from Tehran, to see if they actually navigate that and where they go, and if that's indicative of more transit through the Strait.
Larry, I was going to do sports, but now I feel like that would be like a double cross, so I won't. We cite this all the time, but the
It's your
president's
show, Mark. You can do it.
No. It's everybody's show, the community show. The president's going to be at Mar-a-Lago. There'll be a makeshift sitting room down there, a skiff, and let's just see how much he's on Truth Social. Let's see if he launches a big attack. Let's see if there are talks. I mean, it's a big weekend, either for peace or for war in that conflict.
And he loves to do stuff from Mar-a-Lago. To your point, Mark.
Yes, he does.
Oh boy.
Quick word from a sponsor, and then to your questions. Please raise your hand if you want to get in on the conversation. And if you want some free money, download the Upside app on your phone. It's an app that gives you free cash back, no gimmicks, it doesn't cost. The app is free, and the using it's free, and it gives you free cash back when you shop at participating restaurants, gas stations, or supermarkets. Go on the app, and it'll show you the participating places in your geographical area. You can still use your credit card to pay and get all the same points you get from your credit card. But the Upside app is not points, ladies and gentlemen. It's actual cash back. And to ease you into the program, they're going to give you, on your first fill up of a tank of gas using the Upside app, 25 cents off each gallon on your first tank using the promo code MARK, in addition to the cash back you get using the Upside app. It works by connecting users with personalized cash back offers at gas stations, grocery stores, and restaurants. You earn real money every day. They've given away over $1 billion back to consumers, $1 million a week. Don't be left out. Download today the Upside app and use it on your phone. It's easy to use. Again, use the promo code MARK to get extra off on your gas. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Raise your hand if you want in on the conversation. We start with Kyle. Unmute, tell folks who don't know where you are and what's on your mind for Kevin and for Larry. And thank you for your
guys.
Two-way.
Hey, Kyle.
I'm in Las Vegas, nice Las Vegas, Nevada today. But I wanted to comment on something that Mark said. He said, by the way, everyone needs to watch that Brit Hume interview. Is incredible. One of Mark's best, and I've been watching Mark for a long, long time. So great job, Mark, there.
Thank you. But all credit to Brit. He's a national treasure.
He is. You mentioned something. Well, what does Marco have? And I'd say to you, Mark, what did Obama have? He had an aurora about him, and he gave great speeches just the same. But I look at Marco as the Republican Obama, if you will, but with more substance. Just to back up what Larry was saying, he has this aurora about him that is just incredible. And from when I saw him back in, debating Trump back in those early days, he is much different now. He is more polished. He is so sharp on things. Like I agree, he will win that straw poll, and that's going to put him in the next realm and a lot of steam around him. So that's all I wanted to log in and make a point about.
Okay, Larry, comment.
I'm just curious. Who did you vote for in the 2016 primaries?
I voted for Trump all the way. I've been Trump, and everyone said he didn't have a chance. And when it narrows down, I remember all these conversations. No way he can win. And yeah, I've been for him all along.
All right. Yeah. I agree.
Larry. Kevin,
I'm going to agree with Kyle.
Yeah. Kevin, I hear part of the Rubio thing that's so interesting to me is not just MAGA's excited about him, donors are excited about him, some members of Congress I've talked to, but also Democrats are worried about him. Like, I think Democrats look at beating J.D. Vance is not that tough, in part because he's more closely now associated with the administration, even though, of course, Rubio's in it too. But they look at Rubio as formidable, young, attractive Hispanic guy with great political skills. So almost the shades of George W. Bush, where there's just like, whoa, if this guy's a nominee, you look at the electoral map, he could start to do some real damage.
And Mark, real quick,
I
was going to say,
Kevin and then Kyle. Kevin first. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think Democrats are hopeful potentially about Florida, some of the changing dynamics down there. But obviously, Marco coming from Florida, and what Mark just said about the Hispanic vote, I mean, that's been decimated for the president recently, and is going to decide a lot of elections, not just in Florida, but in Texas and around the country. I will also say for Marco, I always like members who have served on House or Senate intelligence. That's still one of the few committees that you actually have, and you had some silliness on the House side with Schiff and others, but that's still one of the more serious committees. Nancy Pelosi came up through House Intelligence. Marco led Senate Intelligence with Mark Warner back and forth. So I just to put a plug for actual statesmen and women that have come up through that committee.
Kyle, did you want to say one more thing?
Yeah, just the last thing, Mark. What you were touching on, I think earlier this week or last week, was him with Vance having a newborn coming and whatnot, right? I don't think he runs. I agree with you.
Yeah, I'm leaning into that pretty hard these days, particularly if Rubio passes him, because they're friends. He's not going to go negative on his friend Marco to come back. Larry, what were you going to say?
Well, I was going to say, when you said that the Democrats are worried about him, and correct me if I'm wrong, and maybe both of you will know, but if I remember right, Hillary's team during 2016, they were it was always leaked that they were most worried about Marco Rubio, if I remember right, even back then.
We were most worried about Ben Carson.
I think there's a lot of Ben Carson. Kyle, thank you for your kind words. Thank you for being part of Two-Way. Professor Kenny, welcome.
Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you for being here. Tell folks what's on your mind.
Hey, Mark. Winner of the week, Mark Halperin. Great interview with Britt Hume, and also this week we've had awesome discussions on his platform with Larry and Kevin. So thank you guys. And a little plug for the post shows. We've been kicking ass on discussions on the post show. Thank you to Andres, Josh, Richard, Nicole, Alan, our crew. Anyway,
you've had some great co-hosts with you on that.
Yes,
this week
awesome. We have a great community. It's
yes,
awesome.
Sir.
All right, so my question is this. I think this is going great. I'm one of the people who says press gas, keep going. I think Trump's doing a great job with this war effort, this military effort, I should say. And my question is, though, is there going to be a time where he's going to come before the American people and discuss what the end game is, and is he willing to bring people from Congress into the Oval Office and discuss this, and at least get that on camera, so it looks like he is letting people know what's going on, instead of well, we don't like what's going on because he doesn't tell us what's going on. I mean, the generals have said we've knocked out 2/3 of their capabilities and we're focused on the last third, so they have a focus on ending this thing. And I think the American people that are against this need to just be let know what's going on here, so that we can get more people behind
it. Kevin, thoughts?
Yeah, no, Professor, I think you make some good points. I think part of the problem with, I think, some of the polling around this is people believe, to your point, that the president really hasn't spoken directly, specifically about some of these great military victories that we're seeing in the decimation of Iranian capabilities. Mark and Britt talked at length about the failure of the media to really cover this in an effective way, highlighting some of those things. So, will there be that moment? I think the president, more than anyone, is a television show producer, news show producer, and will look for the optics of some triumphal event in the next couple of weeks, likely that he can highlight and say, okay, we've reached this tipping point, a level of success, and to broadcast that to the world, because again, that's what this president thrives on, are those made-for-TV moments.
Yeah,
Larry.
But in terms of bringing the members of Congress in at various stages, as we reach the climax here, my understanding, Professor Kenny, and I know that the people in the House and the Senate are frustrated that they aren't kept in the loop, but my understanding from the administration is that it is a very real and palpable concern about leaks. When they do stuff like that, things do leak out. And when it comes to these military operations, they are just dead set against opening up the possibility. And if you look at it, honestly, it's been remarkable how little has leaked about this operation at all, really.
Yeah.
And I think that's why Congress has been kept out, because they think that people in Congress leak, because they do.
Yeah. Yeah. Professor Kenny, so grateful to you for all you do for Two-Way, and such a great part of our community. Thank you for being here. I hope you have a great weekend.
And join the professor and team every day at 11. The chat opens at 10 to continue the conversation.
Yep, every day. Big part of our community. Greg, welcome in. Greg's been on fire in the chat today. Greg, tell everybody who doesn't know where you are, what's on your mind.
Well, this Iowan's rooting for an Iowa State final in the NCAA championships.
Be kind of amazing.
Yeah, it would be. And my question is are we really going to see President Trump's signature on our currency?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
he controls
so.
it with the control of the concern.
Is he going to use the auto pen or sign each one individually?
He'll sign a few. He'll sign a few individually, and he'll sign a few individually, and then sell them on eBay for an extraordinary amount of money. I would say.
Is it really that rare? I don't know why. I have a memory of seeing presidents' signatures on currency all the time.
It's been 156 years.
Yeah.
So whose signature is there? It's the treasurer,
Treasury Secretary, who released a statement that President Trump deserves this, et cetera, et cetera. So
yeah,
there's
I'm a
two
Trump
signatures.
supporter, but
two signatures.
Oh, really?
Greg,
Okay.
Greg.
Yeah,
Greg,
it's the treasurer and the treasurer of the United States and
Yeah.
the Treasury Secretary.
Greg, why does it bother you so much? I've been all serious.
Oh, I don't know about so much, but it seems like a little much, at some point. I mean, putting his name on everything. And so anyway, just wondered your thoughts on it.
Can I tell you, Greg, this is what I hear, because I've asked that question. I've pressed on it off the record. It's not off the record, but I've heard that the feeling within the Trump administration is that they truly are doing remarkable things, and there has been such a negative and deceitful narrative about President Trump, and he roused so many emotions that no future generations are going to put his name on anything. So they've just decided, screw it, we're just going to put our name on things now.
Yeah. Greg, I know this isn't Caitlin Clark big, but how big is the basketball tournament in the state now?
Oh, it's big because the Hawkeyes haven't been to the Elite Eight since '87.
Yeah.
And this new coach is great. And the Cyclones have been good for a while now. But of course, we loaned our coach to Nebraska, and anyway, so
it's gonna be an incredible weekend.
Big Ten athletics in general. I mean, 3 national championships in football in a row, and now you've got what could be a complete Big Ten Final Four.
Yeah.
Or three of the 4 Final Four.
Come on, SEC. Come on, SEC. What the hell's going on?
Greg, thank you, man. Thank you for being part of two-way. All right, I'm gonna step over to Sirius XM, the second hour of the morning meeting. Join me there. Call in if you would like to be part of the conversation there, and I'll be back at 5 o'clock for two-way tonight, last of the week. Again, the number on Sirius XM, 833-446-3496, and I'll be there 10 Eastern to 11, and then again back at 5. And gentlemen, grateful to you for making time. Larry, look forward to hearing about your panel, and I'll turn the rest of the program, including a special announcement about a big two-way return in the hands of Larry and Kevin. Larry, if you haven't checked your text, please do.
I'm on it. I'm on it.
All
Mark,
right, thank you both.
Is the scruff going to turn into a full-grown beard? Is that what's happening here? Are we going to get a beard?
Like Al Gore, I grow a beard when I feel I'm in the wilderness. I don't know. I'm just going to grow it for another week and then see. But I always shave it off. I once grew it and then I shaved it during breaks on Morning Joe. So I started the show with the full beard.
Oh, I've heard that story.
Then I went down, and so I may do that again. I may reprise that here on the morning meeting. You guys will have to cover for me while I shave.
Yeah, I was going to say on that legacy media, we don't do breaks.
Exactly, not long breaks. Thank you both. Thanks, great to see you guys. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, Mark. You too.
Be safe over there in that crazy continent.
All right, Dad's gone. Now the fun starts.
Kevin, should we let Haley in, because she's becoming entitled, honestly, and
as long as she's not smoking, because we do have some young people watching.
Yeah, don't. Well, she's going to be a bad influence either way, but not with tobacco usage. All right, let's bring in Haley real fast for her. You came on with the Oscar predictions last time, and you were right.
Oh yeah, I was right, but. Yeah. Apparently that they voted before he ever said the comments, but whatever. You guys can pick either the Harry Potter trailer or the Bachelorette.
Harry Potter trailer, I think, because I thought it was amazing.
I cried I watched it about 15 times, and there was tears every time.
But Haley, did you cry for the Devil Wears Prada? Did you cry for the Devil Wears Prada 2 trailer?
No, I kind of scremed. I kind of like that was like
a lot of emotions. A lot of emotions with these trailers.
The new Harry Potter kid though he looks so young. He's supposed to be 11, right?
Yeah,
he is
11. They're all 11.
8. Yeah, he looks a little young.
He looks so young.
I said, how is it possible that they found 25 years later another kid that looks exactly like Harry Potter? Like,
it's crazy.
Just different.
It's
He's
very
like,
cool, and the Hagrid
exactly.
looks very cool too. The Hagrid looks, and I'm. It's a great trailer. I'm
And
very.
John Lithgow is Dumbledore. I cannot wait. It's
All
going to
right.
be so good.
All right, Haley.
This is why we bring Haley on for a
Yep.
little pop culture.
We need a
pop
little
culture moment. We got to do this
Slytherin
every
action.
Friday. This is
Yeah.
great.
I know all pop culture, but you guys didn't comment on the Bachelorette controversy, and I still want to know.
I don't know enough about that.
That's pretty. Oh, I do. Oh, you don't, Kevin?
Oh,
You need to
wow,
listen.
Kevin.
I thought you
Isn't-
listened to my
wasn't
radio
like-
show. We've been all.
Wasn't
over.
it like an influencer thing or something like that? And like,
Yeah, well, no. So she
some
used to do like
domestic
the
violence
Mormon
or something.
wives thing.
Okay.
Yes.
They ABC knew that she had a domestic abuse history. They went ahead and cast her as the Bachelorette anyway, and then TMZ released a video of her chucking a stool at her boyfriend and hitting
Like
her little daughter.
7 of them.
Absolutely outrageous.
Did they film a whole series?
Oh, it was
whole
already
season.
canned.
They
Oh, it's all
canceled it 3 days before it was supposed to premiere.
Oh, it's a complete loss.
Wow.
It's
They
absolute
lost.
disaster.
It's incredible. She like destroyed the brand. It's incredible.
Kevin, do you know? You've got to know. Gillian Anderson, former Fox News producer. You know, Gillian used to be she was a contestant on The Bachelor.
Of course, yeah.
And so we had her on WMAL this week to talk about it because
You got like a subject matter expert right there.
Oh, absolutely. For everyone in the
great.
community, Gillian Anderson was a Redskins cheerleader. She was on The Bachelor. Then she was a producer at Fox News, and then she's really a PR person. She worked with Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA, and really a sweet lady. And she used to co-host with me.
You know which
for a
season?
while.
Do you remember which season?
Oh crud! I don't know. But I know she's famous because she went to go accept her rose and she face planted.
Yeah,
and she went to do it. It's a
okay.
big.
I'm gonna Google that.
Gillian Anderson, and also
Next
she also
week.
did Bachelor in Paradise, and she like stripped off her clothes and jumped into the hot tub. Just saying. Not that I've
Still
looked at
family
that.
show.
Not
Still
that I've looked
family
at that
show.
video many times.
Haley's
To
not
be
smoking.
continued.
And
Next week, I'll come with proof.
yeah,
All right, Haley, you've dragged down the entire thing.
never.
Love you
Never.
guys.
Thanks, Haley.
Mark just sent
Have
us
a
a
great
picture.
weekend.
You too.
Mark just sent us a picture of him. Are they going to post this on social media? There's a picture of Mark doing two-way with what can only be described as a white peacock walking by.
Look at this
see
in the
that?
wild.
A white, and there he is on the little terrace doing two-way. That's an action shot there. I didn't know there were albino peacocks. That's phenomenal. Only in France. All righty. Kevin,
It's
we should
awesome.
probably wrap this up.
No, well, we've got some things to highlight. We've got
We do.
2-8 tonight live at 5 with Robbie Starbuck. So tune in there.
Good guy. And then Citizen McCain returns live Monday at noon. Oh, we have a special video for that.
Yes, we do.
Do we?
Like I said, I will be giving birth hopefully sooner versus later because I can't fucking take this anymore. It's awful.
I don't want to do it without you. It's not right. Not right.
Totally.
Natural. I don't want to do it without you, but I will. Megan's return. I have her return date, and you can expect to tune in not next Wednesday, but please join us on Monday, March 30th. Ashley, please tell me that that's the right day because I didn't double check my calendar. Yes. Okay. That's the 30th. Whatever day Monday is. This upcoming Monday, we will be going back to 2 days a week. Megan will return and everything will go back to normal. And I will pipe down and probably tell you fewer stories about quadruple amputees. But we had a good run. See you now.
There have been way too many quadruple amputees in the news lately. That's very exciting. Our long national nightmare is over. Megan McCain returns.
Like MacArthur in the Philippines.
On Monday.
Our dear friend Megan McCain returns on Monday.
I got and no, none too soon because Ben's been texting me saying she's got to get fucking back to work. She's driving me up the wall. Please get the show back up. So that's very exciting. My wife just knit a little hat for the baby. So we got to.
I love that. Well, we got to get photos of that too. And again, congratulations to Megan and Ben.
We will get on that. And then next week, the morning meeting returns, of course, but with something special. Let's go to it. Don't we have a video for that? Or is that a different video?
I think we have a
video
for.
Oh, the video was for Citizen McCain. I read my texts wrong. All right, never mind. There's nothing special about
this. Is what happens when Dad leaves. It all goes to hell.
Morning meeting will be just the same old regular, no excitement morning.
We'll all be back next week.
Probably.
But until then,
if I make it through this weekend, at least my travel.
We got to get you out of Texas. In the meantime, hope everybody has a great weekend, and we'll see you all next week.
Thanks, guys. Take care.